Well now, what can I say? A Romp in Time 2, Confusion Overload. Oh dear. It was written 1 year after the first one. And if you listen to the AI narrator, the two people narrating it, even they find it confusing. It's you can't really see the journeys on here, and I don't think there's an AI version available at the moment who can do justice to the story itself. It's very well documented. It's very well documented as to the timelines in the story, because the narrator, Molly, does a very good job of putting in where they are and what they're doing. But if you can follow it, then you're a better person than I am. However, good luck. And there's not a lot more I can say about it, but it's called Confusion Overload for a reason. But there it is. Look at it. There's a lot going on. But the third one, which will be coming out in, can't really say. I wrote a number of novels before the third one was written, will be a lot smoother. But it stands as it stands. A Romp in Time, Confusion Overload. There's a lot going on. Good luck. Just a very quick interlude here before we get into the main meat and vegetables of the thing. I've just realised that, because I'm very new to all this, that I can put up pictures in the discussion board thing, whatever it's called. So I'm going to put up a picture of the timeline in the discussion thing, whatever it's called. So if you're interested, you could actually have a look at it. Anyway, that's what I'm going to do.
Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we are attempting to map what can only be described as a complete meltdown of the space-time continuum.
That's putting it mildly.
It's centered around a medieval castle, an ancient alien, and, well, a spectacularly unhinged megalomaniacal clone.
Yeah, that's a succinct and frankly pretty accurate summary. Our source material today it's a dizzying mix. You've got historical detail, really advanced physics, personal trauma.
Jumping all over the place.
Exactly. From the 1500s, then leaping forward to, 20,999 AD. It's wild. We've got timelines that have been aggressively tampered with.
Right.
Identities fundamentally changed. And maybe a victory that isn't quite as definitive as our heroes might hope.
Okay, so our mission today, it's not really to follow the plot chronologically. I mean, that would need a flowchart the size of a billboard, wouldn't it?
Easily. Maybe bigger.
So we're going thematic. We'll establish the setting, the players, then get into the forbidden science powering it all.
The devices, yeah.
Then dissect the villain's blueprint for chaos, look at his captives.
The poor souls snatched at a time.
And finally, unpack the really severe emotional and temporal consequences for the main team. Okay, let's unpack this. Where does this absolute snow-covered madness even begin?
It kicks off at High Cross Castle. I think December 2019.
Yeah.
But the key thing is this state of extreme isolation, almost unnatural.
Total isolation.
Yeah, and this environment, this complete severance from the outside world, is sort of served as this strange conductor for all the high-stakes drama happening underneath.
We're talking about a weather event that basically became a siege, right? the source describes just a brutal snowfall.
Oh, it wasn't just heavy, it was record-breaking. Seriously, the snow apparently started around December 16th.
Which was noted because...
Coincidentally, the narrator's mother's birthday. Just a little detail. But it just kept coming, kept snowing.
And the depth, the duration, it was off the charts.
Supposedly surpassed every significant winter on record. They list them. 1946, 1963, 71, 81, even 2011.
Wow. Listing those specific years really hammers home that this was...
Yeah, historic. An event. Absolutely. By Boxing Day, you couldn't even really see the castle properly.
What did it look like?
Imagine the scene from like a BBC camera crew. The castle was just this huge, white, swollen bulge. Just snow everywhere. The drifts were so deep.
You couldn't see the structure.
Only the very tip of the old Devil's Tower was sticking out, like a little beacon drowning in this massive sea of white.
And the practical result of all this snow, total lockdown.
Complete physical and, social compression. Coaches, cars, they couldn't get near the place or leave after mid-December. By Christmas Eve, nobody was going anywhere.
Sounds miserable.
Well, yeah, but the source makes this really fascinating observation. It says, complete physical isolation, oddly, served as a wonderful conductor that brought staff and friends closer together.
Huh. So being trapped actually bonded them.
Yeah. Fostered a strange kind of intimacy, I suppose.
Okay, let's quickly run down who's actually locked inside during this. We've got the staff.
Right. Mr. Hawley, the reliable odd job man. And the deacons, Mrs. and Mr. Deacon.
Mr. Deacon was using the downtime productively, wasn't he?
Famously writing his swashbuckling pirate epic.
Yeah.
Set in solar-powered 2078, of all things.
Of course. And then the central players, Stuart and Frankie.
Yeah, you might remember them as Rosie and Gilt from earlier adventures.
Mm-hmm.
But after they defeated the, quotes, evil lord of the manor, Lord Timus VII,
Right.
they'd sort of settled into this new, seemingly permanent life at High Cross.
We should probably touch on that transition. They beat Timus VII, who, according to the official story, died falling off an elephant and being mauled by lions, which sounds unlikely.
Highly unlikely, yeah. Probably a cover story.
So Stuart's running his salon now, and Frankie, he understandably went off history somewhat, quit his studies.
Can you blame him? Given that history kept physically trying to kill them.
Yeah.
It's a very understandable career change.
So they live there now, alongside Anne Boleyn.
Anne B.
Yeah.
Anne Va.
And Va is where all the really outlandish stuff comes from, the technology.
We know she's not human. The source gives specifics, right?
Mm-hmm.
Ancient, wealthy, alien. Oh, yeah. She's 1,658 years old next birthday.
Wow.
Which is staggering. But even for her, as we'll see, time is starting to take a toll. And she's the keeper of these two massive secrets down there.
The gold machine.
Which can generate basically infinite wealth. And the Traveler, her personal time machine.
And she just demonstrated her advanced biology pretty dramatically, didn't she?
By regrowing her entire arm.
In
just 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
Which, while medically, successful, caused this profound distrust in Anne Boleyn.
Understandably, from a 16th century perspective.
Totally. Anne saw it as unnatural, tinkering with God's creation. She apparently eyes Via's new arm with permanent suspicion after that.
And Anne herself is trying to adapt, settling in, enjoying the wine.
Praying a lot, mulling over world politics, trying to navigate the modern digital age.
She has an iPad.
Oh, she's utterly fascinated by her iPad, especially the internet, social media. Uses it frequently. Yeah. But while she gets the tech, the content, modern communication, global politics, it just completely bewilders her sometimes.
This is where she retreats.
Yeah, sometimes just starts mumbling Latin and French phrases. Sadness, confusion. She's basically a historical figure dealing with intense future shock.
Okay, let's move beneath High Cross now. Into the hidden architecture. The physical manifestation of Lord Timus's contingency plan. It all hinges on the Devil's Tower.
Yeah, which was incredibly deceptive from the outside. Looked like a standard 3-story tower, nothing special.
But Vaughn, the boys noticed something off.
An anomaly, exactly. This vine-covered ventilation shaft near the ground floor. It was jammed solid with, putrescence, vegetable matter, and mud. Just muck.
Gross.
But they saw a flicker of light through it, suggesting a huge space deep, deep below.
A tiny inconsistency pointing to this massive, century-spanning deception. So how did they actually get in?
They found the real entrance inside the tower in the second chamber. Hidden.
How?
By a thin bookcase. Apparently it was on casters, so it moved easily.
Classic.
Right, and behind it.
A mechanism.
And the mechanism itself wasn't typical. Used some weird, almost anachronistic tech. Exactly. A gravity principle, like a clock. That detail feels really important.
Why? What does that suggest?
Highly precise mechanics, possibly non-electric, something that wouldn't have been easy to detect with, scanners or conventional methods. Very clever.
So Timus was planning ahead.
Way ahead. Once they activated it, it revealed this decrepit old wooden door. Stuart forced it open, and there it was. A spiral stone staircase. Going down. Way down, about 100 feet.
Okay, descending 100 feet into the earth, you'd expect cobwebs, dust, decay. But the steps, I remember the description was chillingly precise.
Yeah, that's the really unsettling part. Despite going down 100 feet into what should have been untouched darkness for centuries, the steps look newly chiseled.
Newly chiseled.
Yeah, and get this. No insects, no cobwebs, no lichen, and no moss.
Nothing.
Perfectly clean.
Which means either it was built incredibly recently,
Or Timus had some kind of highly advanced environmental controls down there, keeping the area sterile, maybe timeless, preserved.
which makes Va letting Timus convince her the environment was bad for females back in 1296 seem even more, well, like a massive lapse in judgment.
Oh, absolutely. He's building this huge, sterile, secret facility right under her nose while she's sidelined on the ship thinking she's safe. It's deeply manipulative.
And what was waiting at the bottom? The payoff for all this secrecy?
Terrifyingly advanced tech. The underground cloning chamber, which Molly, the narrator, chillingly calls the womb.
Right. Describe this place. It sounds like a mashup of a torture dungeon and a futuristic lab.
That's pretty much it. It was huge, about half the size of a modern tennis court, the source says. And it was partitioned.
Into what?
One side had a crude kitchen, some bunks. But the giveaway was the chains. Limp chains connected to thick iron rings knocked solidly and deeply into the stonework.
Lord Timus's signature. Charming.
Unmistakable.
Yeah.
And the other half, pure high-tech, like NASA's mission control.
Dedicated to the cloning.
Dedicated to the electrical infrastructure. Huge switching blocks. But the centerpiece, was the cloning day itself. This massive round structure. Looked like a four-poster bed almost.
Yeah.
Encased by these closely spaced transparent bars. It was a cage. Clearly designed to hold a person. Imprison them during the process.
And Va, being this ancient alien, she recognized the hardware.
Instantly.
Huh.
It was an exact replica of a cloning room from her home world. An exact replica.
Devastating for her.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The realization hits her. Timus must have dug this out, built it all, long before she was cured and stuck on the ship for those 3 years back in the 1290s. He secured his backup plan while she thought she was just recovering.
Okay, let's talk about the engine driving this whole conflict. The advanced concepts. We have the travelers, the time machines, but the fuel source, Veritasium, it sounds less like fuel and more like a weapon.
That's a good way to put it. Veritasium is the core fuel,
Yeah.
essential for moving through time. But it has this massive downside. It's described as a kind of poison.
A poison how?
It fully interferes with the travelers themselves. If they get too close to where the veritasium is stored, they become unusable. They just stop working.
So it's not just fuel, it's like a localized temporal jammer. Or a shield.
Something like that. Creates a protective bubble, maybe? Or a temporal dead zone around the castle. Vaughn knew how dangerous it was.
Which is why she changed the code.
Exactly. She wisely changed the access code to the veritasium storage chamber, didn't trust Timus's contingency plan, even after he was supposedly dead. Good call, turns out.
And all this tech, the cloning bay, the time machines, the weird fuel, it all fed into the ultimate goal of the villain. Thought unification.
Yeah, this is the really terrifying centerpiece of the alien science involved. Vaughn described it as an old concept,
Yeah.
dreamt up by unsteady scientists back on her world.
And the goal is?
Essentially, eternal, perfect knowledge preservation. It involves copying and then totally transferring a person's essence of thoughts and memories to another body.
Whoa. So not just cloning a body, cloning the mind, the soul.
Effectively, yes. It's about transcending death by preserving genius, knowledge, consciousness.
Right.
Forever. Lord Timus VIII, the clone, CG2, he believed he was basically ushering in this new, superior era of existence.
Using his secret underground lab as the proving ground.
Exactly, a laboratory for this horrifying experiment in immortality.
Which brings us neatly to the villain himself. Clone Lord Timus II, or CG2, who immediately takes the title Lord Timus VIII, his origin. It sounds less like a birth, more like a manufacturing process. It took decades.
Precisely. We get the exact specs, 19 years, 2 months, and 7 days of gestation.
19 years. And the starting material, what did they grow him from?
A microscopic clump of skin taken from the original Lord Timus's mouth.
Ugh. That's grimly fascinating that this whole megalomaniacal being grew from just a tiny speck of skin.
Well, during those 2 decades, he was kept completely immobile, constantly fed, changed, and crucially infused with knowledge.
How? How do you infuse knowledge?
Highly advanced femtobots, apparently, and thousands of texts pumped directly into his developing brain, giving him almost all of the original Timus's memories.
So his mind was basically constructed, not grow naturally. What triggered his actual consciousness? When did he wake up?
Lighting. The activation of the cloning system itself brought him online, into cognizance, and the very first thing he saw,
What?
the huge digital clock on the chamber wall, displaying the date, November 2545.
2545. Why that date?
That date feels critical. It's likely the moment the original Timus calculated his own downfall was inevitable, and so he scheduled his backup, his resurrection, for that precise future moment.
But the clone was missing something vital, right? The final memories.
Exactly. He lacked the last 6 weeks of the original's memories. Crucially, he didn't have the memory of the original's execution. He woke up with immense knowledge. But this critical temporal gap.
And that gap shaped him.
Oh, absolutely. That plus the inherent superiority complex you might expect from a genetically engineered being designed to be perfect. He knew he was brand new, but he had all the knowledge, all the tools.
Did he care about the original Timus dying?
Not at all. Felt no emotion about it. He viewed his predecessor as deficient, weak. For letting a few ineffectual degenerates like Stuart and Frankie beat him, he saw himself as the perfect, remorseless upgrade.
And he immediately started messing with time, rewriting history, starting with a very personal target, Frankie. The Frankie problem.
Yeah, CG2 didn't just go after big historical events. He went micro. He targeted DNA. He went back in time and altered Frankie's DNA before he was even born.
No.
Vey theorizes he used some kind of specialized, maybe virus-like chemical agent, something designed to specifically attack Frankie's chromosomes.
And this caused Frankie's physical alteration, the condition, the different face that Stuart hadn't seen before in this new timeline.
Yes, exactly. That physical change, making him, in Stuart's initial shocked view, ugly or deformed. But it might have gone deeper.
Yeah. Deeper how?
Well, the source highlights this profound emotional complexity. Voss suspects that tampering might have also affected Frankie's homosexuality.
Wait, his sexuality?
Yeah, a trait Va admits is, quote, mathematically uncounted for on her home world. So she's guessing, but the implication is terrifying.
The clone wasn't just trying to hurt Frankie physically.
He was trying to destabilize his core identity, destroy his relationship with Stuart from the inside out, make Frankie question everything about himself, his feelings. It's psychological warfare via genetics.
And this mirrors, didn't Stuart previously fix Va's face when it was damaged? Which she couldn't remember.
Exactly. It's a recurring theme. The battle is being fought on this micro level of genetics, appearance, and memory. Fixing faces, destroying faces.
It sets the rules, doesn't it? If you can manipulate someone's DNA, you can rewrite their past, their present, their future.
Pretty much. Control the code, control the person.
Okay, next up. The Molly problem. This brings Va's own past actions back to haunt her, right? Connects her betrayal of the original Timus directly to the clone's motivations.
Right. Va confesses this deep secret to the group. Back in 1801, she betrayed the original Timus.
How?
She went to his young pregnant wife, Molly, who later becomes our narrator, and told her Timus wasn't human. Told her he was an alien, a devil spawn.
Oh, God. What did Molly do?
Molly was terrified. Terrified of giving birth to a goat or a hatchling not of this world, as she put it. She took poison, committed suicide while pregnant.
Horrible. And the clone, CG2, knew about this.
Knew the precise details
Yeah.
and used it. He located Molly's grave, which was marked Hazel Brown, not Molly Thompson, reflecting her secret marriage, and he took her DNA.
Why? Just to torment Va, or did he need it?
Both, probably. Definitely an act of psychological torment against Va, dredging up her guilt. But also, Molly's DNA likely became another component for his broader genetic experiments, fuel for the machine.
Which brings us to Agatha Christie. CG2's obsession with DNA wasn't just about revenge or experiments, was it? It was about self-preservation, fixing his own flaws.
Exactly. Even with femtobots, cloned DNA is apparently inherently unstable, fragmented. He knew he wasn't perfect, biologically. So he kidnapped Agatha Christie in 1926.
During her famous disappearance.
Yes, and specifically for her DNA, or rather, her DNA's decay level at that specific point in time.
Decay level. He needed old DNA.
Not old, exactly, degraded to a very specific point. He needed a snippet of her hair because her DNA's decay was, quote, just right. Neither too early nor too late in its natural degradation process. It provided the perfect template somehow to repair his own fragmented code.
Okay, that's bizarre. So the cloning tech relies on some kind of temporal entropy signature. He needed DNA at a specific stage of breaking down.
It seems like it. He wasn't looking for pristine youth. He needed that specific biological marker to stabilize himself, maybe to counteract the artificial nature of his 2-decade gestation.
And getting her hair, he thought it extended his life.
By a factor of 5 and 10 times, he believed. He saw her as his deliverer and redeemer, just for a strand of hair. Shows how precarious his own existence felt to him.
Okay, so the cloning chamber then becomes this really disturbing gallery of the abducted, people snatched from history for CG2's experiments, or maybe just bait, or intellectual fodder.
All the above, potentially. Let's meet the captives, starting with the famous crime writer herself.
Agatha Christie, abducted 1926. How did he grab her?
With the sweet chemical aroma of aniseed gas.
Aniseed gas. Seriously, that sounds almost quaint, like something from one of her own books, not from an advanced alien clone.
It is weirdly low-tech, isn't it?
Yeah.
But maybe that speaks to Timus's style, mixing historical methods with alien science. Anyway, she wakes up chained to the wall of the cloning chamber, iron rings, the whole deal.
How did she react, being the queen of logic confronted with, well, time travel?
Initially, deeply frustrated. It made no sense. She hated the lack of logic, especially all the talk about time travel. But her analytic mind couldn't deny the evidence eventually.
So she accepted it.
She was forced to conclude CG2 wasn't mad. He was just operating under rules she didn't understand yet. And she actually started observing, using her detective skills, timing how long it took Oscar Wilde to wake up after CG2 did something to him, gathering data, even while chained up.
Incredible. And Oscar Wilde, snatched from around 1897, where was he kept?
He was initially chained too, but when Molly the narrator finds him later, he's inside one of these clear glass box chambers, like a display case. There were 7 of them lined up.
And he was wearing something strange.
Yeah, this bizarre piece of headgear, described as an onion-shaped garden bulb that occasionally flashed different colors.
A garden bulb on his head. What on earth was that for? Torture.
Almost certainly connected to the thought unification process. The glass box isolates them, contains them, and the bulb was likely some kind of collection device, maybe a femtobot array, designed to copy or extract the essence of thoughts and memories.
So CG2 is literally trying to download Oscar Wilde's genius.
That seems to be the implication. Digitizing consciousness. Terrifying.
And next to Wilde was Molly, the original Mrs. Timus, the narrator. She gets captured too, and has this profound temporal shock.
Yeah, she wakes up in her old house in High Holborn, but it's all wrong. Dusty, cold. She doesn't realize at first that she's jumped nearly a century forward to 1897.
How did she figure it out?
The horrifying moment came when her dress, her turquoise pelisse, literally fell apart when she touched it, just disintegrated. The fabric couldn't handle the abrupt chronological jump. That's when she knew she wasn't in 1800 anymore.
And she ends up in a glass box, too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Enclosed in her own cell, right next to Wilde. Couldn't even talk to him. Apparently the cages absorbed sound. Total isolation within captivity.
And the final captive, the most modern one, Brooklyn Beckham, as Prime Minister.
That's right. Prime Minister Brooklyn Beckham, serving in 2030. CG2 kidnaps him. He's described as being in his early 30s, wearing these strange rubberized shoes.
Just a detail, the shoes. Why him? Why kidnap the PM?
CG2 apparently claimed Brooklyn was a descendant of royalty, used that supposed lineage as his justification, dismissed his actual political power as just secondary to his genes. Another sign of CG2's weird priorities.
Okay, so CG2 presumably does whatever he needs to do, extracts thoughts, DNA, whatever, and then what? He just gets rid of Brooklyn.
Pretty much tosses him aside into the timeline. And Brooklyn's journey afterwards is pure nightmare fuel. Catastrophic.
Where does he dump him first?
1834. And Brooklyn's already messed up from the cloning chamber. Paranoid, sleep-deprived, dehydrated, suffering sensory deprivation effects, but still completely consumed by his political mania. Demanding money, trying to get back to London, raving about Parliament.
And this state, it leads directly to a major historical disaster.
The Great Fire of 1834, the burning of the Houses of Parliament, absolutely. Frankie tracks him down, trying to get back the Blue Traveler time machine.
Finds him where?
In the deep cellars beneath Westminster Palace, near the 7 huge furnaces that heated the place. And Brooklyn, just completely gone, grabs this iron bar and plunges it deep into one of the fires, scatters embers everywhere. Whoosh.
He starts the fire. The Prime Minister from the future burns down Parliament in the past.
That's what the source implies. Frankie tries to put it out, saves the PM's clothes for some reason, another odd detail,
Yeah.
and manages to grab the traveler just in time.
But Brooklyn's ordeal isn't over. CG2 punishes him further.
Oh, yeah. Later, he gets deposited into the far, far future. A place of Oz sometimes used as like a timeout zone, a void.
What was it like?
20,999 AD. An oxygen-starved, sand-covered dead Earth beneath a cold, giant red sun. Extreme sensory deprivation. The source mentions the scuffing sound his trainers made. It left and never returned. Just paralyzing eternal silence. Utterly terrifying.
How did he survive?
Frankie rescued him eventually. Found him just swaying gently. Like a living mannequin, suffering severe abandonment mania, completely broken by the experience.
Okay, let's connect this back. The most immediate, tangible consequence of CG2 messing with the timeline like this, it's the deep personal friction it causes. The psychological trauma, especially for Stuart and Frankie.
Yeah, the emotional stakes just skyrocket the moment the group encounters this altered timeline. The one where CG2 changed Frankie's DNA, Stuart's reaction. Seeing Frankie's condition, his altered face, for the first time. It's devastating.
The source says Stuart actually recoiled, found him repulsive, acted like he'd never seen him before. That's horrific for Frankie to experience.
Crushing, absolutely crushing. Frankie's deeply hurt, embarrassed, and there's this added layer of fear because Voss suspects the chemical attack might go beyond just appearance.
The potential effect on his sexuality.
Exactly. Threatening to potentially eradicate his feelings for Stuart. It's a fundamental crisis. Who am I? Do I still love him? Will he still love me? All because of this external manipulation.
How did Stuart try to explain his reaction? Because it wasn't just about the physical change, was it?
No. Eventually, Stuart manages to articulate the complexity of it. He says something like, "This isn't about your face. It's about how you can't see how hurt I am."
So the pain was seeing Frankie seemingly unaware of the violation.
Or unable to grasp the depth of Stuart's shock and hurt about the violation. Knowing a villain had reached into their shared past, deliberately trying to destroy their future together by altering Frankie at such a fundamental level. It's the violation itself that's so deeply wounding.
Meanwhile, Va, the supposedly immortal alien, is also struggling, showing signs of wear and tear.
Definitely. The stress of the clone's presence, the constant temporal instability, is taking a visible toll on Va. She's showing signs of decay. There's mention of a prominent reddish patch on her wrist, chronic fatigue. After 1,600 years, maybe even her biology has its limits. It causes her immense anxiety.
And CG2, being the manipulator he is, sees this weakness and tries to exploit it.
With incredible psychological arrogance, yes, he actually tries to entice Va. Makes her this monstrous offer. He says he'll fix all the damage the 1,600 years have done. Fix the aging, the fatigue, make her young and perfect again.
In exchange for?
Betrayal. He wants information, personal truths about her dealings with the original Timus. He's dangling perfect alien health in front of her, trying to buy her loyalty, or at least her secrets.
And this anxiety for Va is made worse by Anne Boleyn constantly watching her, right?
Yeah, and never got over seeing Va regrow her arm so quickly. That permanent distrust. It just isolates Va further, right when she's feeling most vulnerable.
Okay, let's pivot to Anne's interventions. Despite all the sci-fi chaos, she's still driven by her own Tudor trauma, which leads her to attempt regicide in 1501.
It's a perfect example of historical trauma colliding with temporal access. She spots a 10-year-old Henry VIII, her future husband, her future executioner, and her reaction is immediate, visceral.
To kill him.
If I do him now, then he will not hurt others.
Yeah.
That's her logic. She sees him not as a child, but as this active threat projected across centuries. She's ready to eliminate the problem at the source.
Which would completely shatter history as we know it, wiping out the Tudors, the Church of England, everything.
Huge ramifications. Va has to intervene fast. And she uses the only argument that could possibly work on Anne, the ultimate emotional leverage.
Which is?
Pointing out that if Henry VIII never lives, then Anne's daughter, Queen Elizabeth the Serf, will never be born.
That stops her.
Stops her cold. But the emotional fallout is immense. It triggers this profound relapse for Anne, sends her retreating back into muttering Latin prayers.
Yeah.
The conflict is just devastating for her.
And Anne's chaos isn't just limited to the 16th century. She, Stuart, and Agatha have this bizarre run-in during World War II.
Yeah, they somehow end up in 1942 and get captured by the Home Guard. You know, the elderly soldiers, Dad's army types.
Who mistake them for?
German spies. Which leads to this Ridiculous, but also terrifying scene.
Yeah.
Anne Boleyn, former Queen of England, already executed once in history, now bound with white rope, detained as a suspected Nazi spy in the middle of a 20th century global war. You couldn't make it up.
Okay, we're heading towards the climax now. The final gambit. The clone, CG2, is desperate. He needs the Bertitium code Va changed, so he resorts to his most vicious personal attack yet, on Va herself. Capture and sentencing in Tudor England.
Yeah, this wasn't just about killing her. It was designed to break her, humiliate her utterly. He kidnaps Va, dumps her alone in some abandoned cottage back in 1539.
And does something to her physically degrading.
He has her head shorn, leaves her completely bald, a mark of shame, degradation. She only discovers it when she finds a small hand mirror. It terrifies her.
But the humiliation is just the prelude to the frame job.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
He leaves specific evidence behind, a roll of paper, a fake confession, and an 11-inch bone-handled knife, all planted to make it look like Va was an assassin, a traitor, attempting regicide against Henry VIII.
So she's arrested, taken to the tower, interrogated.
Interrogated by some clean-shaven man, the source says. But the real psychological torture wasn't the questions. It was the presence of these two other men. Silent, hideous figures carrying bulging leather bags.
The torturer's tools.
Clearly, Va is so preoccupied by the horrifying sight of those bags, and probably thinking signing anything will buy her time, that she signs this document without even reading it.
And the sentence. Given the setup, it must have been harsh, even for Tudor times.
Horrific. Execution by boiling alive on Tower Hill.
Boiling.
An exceptionally gruesome punishment, usually reserved for high treason, involving things like poisoning or murder. Her execution is scheduled for Tenebrae Wednesday, just hours away.
This sounds like game over for Va. An alien, maybe, but trapped in 1539, sentenced to boiling. How does she get out? The traveler couldn't even remove the shackles she was in, right?
Right. She was in these heavy, highly resistant leg irons. They actually defeated the traveler's tech, couldn't phase through them or unlock them.
So who saves her?
An unlikely duo, Frankie and Anne Boleyn.
Anne, how?
Anne uses her historical knowledge, probably knowledge of Tudor locks, and shows incredible ingenuity. She takes a simple hair clasp,
A hair class.
twists the end into a right angle, and literally picks the lock on Va's high-tech resistant leg irons. Low-tech human ingenuity defeats the seemingly impossible.
Amazing. The power of a hair class versus alien physics.
It's a brilliant moment. They managed to pull Va out of 1539 literally seconds before she was due to be boiled alive, rescued her from this truly terrifying, humiliating end.
And Va's resilience, surviving that, it leads directly to the final showdown. Back in the cloning chamber, but now in 2025.
Exactly. They travel forward to 2025, arrive back in the chamber, and find all of CG2's other time-displaced prisoners still there. Agatha Christie, Oscar Wilde, Brooklyn Beckham, the others, all asleep in their glass cells.
What does Va do?
She immediately starts cleaning up the mess, reversing the temporal chaos. She frees them all, sends Brooklyn back to his proper time, July 7th, 2030. She arranges for Molly to be entrusted to the care of the writer John Fowles near Lyme Regis back in the mid-1990s, giving her a safe landing.
Okay, prisoners dealt with. Then she prepares for CG2 himself.
She stays behind, waits for him. She loops a cable from the main computer engine over her wrist, ready to pull the plug on his entire operation. And when he appears, she confronts him, reveals her shorn head, uses her own victimhood as leverage, demanding information to save herself.
And the clone, under pressure, reveals where his crucial data is.
Yeah, he's forced to admit his vital files, health data, knowledge base, everything are stored under the file name CMIS2.
But there's a password. Authentication needed.
Right. The system demands authentication. And that's where CG2 realizes he's made a fatal mistake, because Va
She recognizes the name.
instantly. CMIS2. It wasn't just a random file name. It was the name and number of the prison where she and her sister had originally met the original Lord Timus centuries ago.
Wow. He used a name tied to their shared past.
A huge psychological slip. Va has the key to his deepest digital secrets. And she uses that leverage combined with the threat of sending him and all the travelers into that dark, room-sized, inky blackness bubble, the eternal non-time void where Stuart and Brooklyn got stranded.
She forces him into containment.
Forces him into one of his own glass containment cells. He has no choice.
And the ultimate fate of the clone, Lord Timus VIII.
Banishment. Va, Stuart, Anne, and Frankie. Together, they push the entire glass case, with CG2 trapped inside, into that swirling black bubble of eternity. The doorway into eternity, they call it.
Pushed into non-time. The conflict seems over. The threat contained. forever. Okay, so what does this all mean for the core team? In the immediate aftermath, as the dust settles back in 2020, 2025, whenever they finally land.
Well, first, the timeline seems to snap back, or at least stabilize. The really profound personal rift between Stuart and Frankie. It heals.
So the clone's changes to Frankie's face, they were reversed.
Eventually, yes. They discuss his normal face again later. It confirms the chemical attack affected his appearance, maybe his emotions temporarily, but not his fundamental, permanent identity or his feelings for Stuart. That bond survived the temporal tampering.
But the trauma Va went through, being sentenced to boiling, that must have left scars.
Oh, deep ones. For 2 full years after, Va was haunted. She couldn't shake Timus's overwhelming, insidious presence in High Cross. She was constantly stressed, checking security codes, checking the machines, always preparing for the clone or maybe even the original to somehow pop back.
She couldn't live with the stress?
Eventually, no. She sold the castle, couldn't take it anymore, sold it to a young and up-and-coming politician, apparently.
And Va herself, any changes?
She now sports bright red hair, which is a massive physical departure from her original look. Maybe a symbol of breaking from that traumatic past. A new beginning.
What about the others, Stuart and Frankie? And
Stuart and Frankie, fully reconciled now, they adopt 2 children, find some real stability after all the temporal chaos. And Anne, along with her brother George, who had recovered from his earlier sickness in Va, they still use the Travelers.
for what?
To visit Molly. In her cottage near Lyme Regis, they pop back frequently to the mid-90s, maybe early 2000s timeline, just to check in on her, maintain that connection across time.
That's quite sweet, actually. One final loose end, though. A mystery about the physical toll on Stuart.
Ah, yes. When they all got medical checks after everything, Stuart's results came back with an anomaly. A certain substance in his blood that completely mystified the clinic.
Any idea what it was?
Va found the nature of it terrifying. The implication is it was some kind of residue from all the chaotic time hopping, maybe specifically from that terrifying trip into the deep future void with Brooklyn, a physical marker of his journey through non-standard time-space.
So if we zoom out, connect this to the bigger picture, the source material really emphasizes how deeply everything got interlinked, doesn't it? Past, present, future. Not just big events, but personal stuff.
Exactly. You see the butterfly effect constantly, but on this incredibly personal, almost genetic scale. Yes, Brooklyn's madness might start the Great Fire of Parliament in 1834, but CG2 attacking Frankie's face, or Anne deciding not to erase Henry VIII, those decisions, those micro-interferences, are just as consequential in shaping their reality. Every choice, every tiny piece of DNA, it's all shown to be incredibly fragile and interconnected.
It feels like a solid win, though. The villain banished, the heroes reconciled, the timeline mostly stable, but there was one small, really frightening detail mentioned about the clone's banishment, wasn't there? Something that maybe opens the door.
That's a chilling kicker, isn't it? Va and the others, they were so focused on the banishment itself, pushing the cell into the void, they didn't check CG2's pockets first.
And the source suggests?
The source suggests that despite being pushed into that absolute non-time environment, CG2, showing this immense fortitude, this insane tenacity, was somehow able to find Stuart and Brooklyn during their brief stranding in that same void.
Wait, he survived the void and could still act within it.
It suggests he wasn't just passively contained. He might have survived and might still possess some ability to manipulate events, even from non-time.
Which raises a really important, deeply unsettling final question for you, the listener, to consider. If a single clone, right, imbued with the memories of a master manipulator, pushed into the absolute timeless void, if he still manages to find his way back, or at least exert influence.
And remember, his entire life's work, his purpose, was centered on achieving thought unification.
Then what happens when an alien race, or maybe just someone else following his blueprint, actually masters thought unification? What happens when they create not just one, but an entire army of sentient, knowledge-infused, potentially immortal clones?
The end of history, as CG2 might have seen it, could just be the beginning of something much, much worse.